Hey, welcome to the Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Drew.
I'm Cam.
And today we're going to cover the Jordan Peele directed film Us for our third week in our Halloween month. And we have a very special guest, don't we, Cam?
Yes, we got my main man, Sheldon.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
Man, tell us about yourself, Shells.
That's so beautiful.
Sheldon, what's up, man?
Firstly, before I, introduce myself, I just want to give a special shout out to you too.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate y'all for getting me on this podcast. Cam, I've been trying to get on here for so long.
Yeah, man.
But yes, anybody tuning in, make sure y'all continue to support. These two know what they doing.
Thanks,
they know
man.
what they doing, and they only gonna elevate. But to introduce myself, my name is Sheldon Turner Jr. I am currently a sophomore here at Eastern Illinois University. I am an accounting major, and fun fact about me, I've never seen The Color Purple.
Wow. Okay. That's
Not like
yeah,
it's
the
just
actual.
Yeah.
That's a good fact, man.
But yeah, today we wanted to talk about the movie Us because we wanted to do a newer movie this week because we usually cover more old horror movies, and we thought who else better to do a horror movie as a director than Jordan Peele, because he's made fantastic movies in the last 5 years, and they've been better than the last, I'd say. Are you a fan of Jordan Peele?
I'm not gonna say I'm a fan of him, but I enjoy what he produces. I definitely enjoy what he directs and puts out.
Is that mostly because I think we talked before the podcast started about how his films require you to pay attention? There's a lot of subliminal allegories for stuff within his movies. Do you think that?
Yeah, it's deeper meanings to it. That's why you always you can always find yourself looking for a explanation video after watching a movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And if you don't know already, and this for you two people listening, we actually reviewed Nope last year. So go back and listen to that. It might not be as high quality as what you're listening to now, but just go back and do the research.
It should only show how far we've come.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hope if it doesn't show anything, clearly we're not doing something right.
Yeah. But if that's so, don't tell us. We don't want to know. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But anyway, to start off, what do we think of the movie overall, guys?
Sheldon,
Let's out. Y'all go first. Yeah,
okay.
You go first, yeah.
Well, first I'll give the cast. The Funhouse narrator, that was Jordan Peele.
The Funhouse narrator.
I don't remember a narrator.
The Funhouse.
I didn't know they had a narrator though.
I didn't even peep that either.
Yeah, that was
little cameo.
I guess Jordan Peele. He was in this a little bit. Lupita Nyong'o, chef's kiss on her performance. Winston Duke, Elizabeth Moss, Evan Alex, Sade Wright Joseph. I think I said that right. I hope I did. And yeah, those are the main. And Madison Curry. These are all pretty much the last 3 or 4 with the children. But yeah. For one, I loved it, man. This was art. This was a great piece of cinema. I always had some connection with the movie because, and I'll go into it later on why there's a certain spot that I love, and I think it holds up well with the second directed movie after Get Out. I can't say the same. I cannot say the same for Nope. We already explained that last year, but I think it's a good eerie feeling, and it's a little, I guess I won't say eerie because eerie is suspenseful, but this wasn't real suspense. You know what's happening. I think a unique idea. After this came out, I hadn't heard the word doppelganger. Then again, I was 16. And this came out when I was 16, and I hadn't heard the word doppelganger. And, it became a big popular word. So I think the whole thing about it is interesting. I never had the idea of a second me out there in the world. So, I don't know, great execution, great movie. Drew?
Because I'm a fan of Jordan Peele. I watched Get Out, I think, when it first came out, and I was really impressed with kind of how, if you pay attention to certain things, it pays off in the end of the movie, the scene, and it's so many, and like I said earlier, so many little metaphorical allegories with what he's saying. This one probably being the most out of all of them in terms of having to really analyze to understand kind of what's going on at the end, because he doesn't spoon feed you anything. I don't even know what I was going to say there. But with this movie, something I noticed about it is that Jordan Peele really loves to sprinkle little moments of comedy throughout these tense situations. And in some movies, those wouldn't work at all. It'd be like, why? That's dumb. It takes me completely out. With this one, it works, especially from the dad. I forgot the actor's name.
Duke.
Yeah.
No, Winston. Yeah, Winston.
Winston Duke. He is like my favorite character because he is just a cool guy, and he gets beat up, and he
like a man.
He limps around the whole time. But yeah, just those moments of comedy really kind of not brought me back to the movie, but it was just a nice, pleasant surprise, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And the concept itself, like you were saying, Cam, is a very popular concept right now. I think like in the last 10 years, it's been a very, because even on TikTok, there's always the doppelganger little shorts, and like it's just I don't know, it's creepy to have another person like you running around and doing all that stuff. And so the concept itself was really interesting, and the execution, like you said,
top tier.
Amazing.
Music, visuals, acting, just the overall scope and just look of the film is just really catches your eye. And that's kind of Jordan Peele's kind of thing. Visually and everything else is just always top tier, especially for an relatively like new director in the industry. Already made 3 films, and each one is pretty critically acclaimed.
Yeah, new films. He did a Key and Peele.
He did.
I was just finna brought that up. I was just,
and that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a very like far jump.
That was more of like a comedic act for him. And who else was in there?
Michael
Keegan. No, Key and Peele. I don't know who. I didn't watch it, so I can't like.
But yes, that for Jordan Peele, that was more of a comedic act for him, and so like that was so many funny things within that show. So you can see how he can incorporate his old ways of being this comedic director and then put it into his movies that's huge in the box office. So like you brought up some like funny moments. I know y'all remember the Ophelia moment. Well, and the
music,
she was called Ophelia, but she said Ophelia called the police.
And the police.
That was it. And like I said, it just makes it so much more, not iconic, but it just makes the scene so much more, like, gives us some more oomph, because it's like we've seen people die in movies so many times, but now like with these little sprinkled things that just makes it so much more like enjoyable to watch. It just adds a little more. And it almost makes me wonder what Jordan Peele would have done if he had like stopped Key and Peele earlier.
Earlier projects would look like?
Well, if he would have started directing like films earlier, like in the mid 2000s, because Get Out was in 2017. It just makes me wonder kind of how, if he's already this good now, what if he started doing it earlier? And it's quite a jump. But what did you think of the film overall? I know you're a big fan of it.
Well, overall, I thought that this was just something eye-opening. Like around this time, like are y'all familiar with the Stranger Things?
Yep.
Yes. A Netflix show. So that's where I first saw something about doppelgangers, because remember there was all that stuff, and so then I see Us, and then it's something about doppelgangers again, and then it's like a trend. Like, why are these production offices trying to fill us in on clones or doppelgangers and stuff like that? So now we just getting in a era of clones. So we always think, well, before even doppelgangers, if y'all know about Marvel, we got the multiverse.
Yeah.
I'm not there, Shells.
Or is that DC? Multiverse, is that DC?
No, that's Marvel.
That's Marvel, yeah.
Okay.
And they also have like the Secret Invasion, where it's like I guess it's not really clones, but it's like aliens like taking the form of other people. But yeah, there's a lot of clone content going on right now. Yeah.
So I just think about that and like really think to myself, like, is there another me? That's pretty much.
So you don't know about?
That scare you?
I don't know if it scares me, but it's just something to think about. Like, my counterpart is exactly like me, or is he just like evil?
Evil you, so he like knows everything that.
Kind of like Doodle Bob.
That's exactly like Doodle Bob.
Give it up, man.
Yeah,
that's a good comparison.
But yes, overall, I thought the movie was great. I know the movie is great. Jordan Peele, he an all-star. He know what he doing.
I look forward to his next film. Kinda. Yeah, I still do.
Do we know what that is?
I don't know.
Oh, whatever he comes out with.
Because it's always his movies always give you something to think about.
It makes sense. Like even when you see the title of the movie,
And they're so short.
it's like you had Get Out, then you had Us. So then I saw something that was like Get Out the U.S. And then it was something that just was like,
There you go.
then you have Nope. So then it's like Nope can't even do that. Can't even get out the U.S.
Yeah, and
Yo, you're freaking me out.
yeah. Yeah, and I like the titles, but like the thing with them is like Us and Get Out, obviously, but it's like with Nope, it's just kind of he I don't know. It's like he gets right to the point with his titles, and especially with Nope, when you're watching, you're like, oh, I'm watching Nope, and that moment comes where he's just like Nope, you're like, okay, yeah, okay, there you go. It's he's very. I'd say he's probably one of the most like original in terms of like original content. Because you can be a good director, but if your story is just like rehash, like just not interesting.
Another killer movie and a slasher.
But him, it's like every movie comes out is like different, but it's like staying true to stuff he does as a director and just his style of like comedic actors, great chemistry, interesting plots that leave you guessing all the way until the very end, which I really, really enjoy.
I saw something. It was a while back. It wasn't like in an explanation video, but I saw something saying how movies are representations of what's real, while the newspaper only want to present things that's like present real things, but it's not really like real. The movies show was really what we really need to know, but we see it as a movie, so
It's through a medium. Yeah,
it's
like
fiction.
yeah.
Beyond the shows. It's a bold take, man. You got two newspaper workers right here, man.
No, I'm just saying.
It's completely true. No,
I'm
it's
just
completely
saying.
true.
That's what I seen though.
Yeah, I agree with you because my favorite, not my favorite movie, of Kubrick is Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah.
And have you seen that?
No.
Stanley Kubrick, he known as like one of the greatest directors ever, and he has this movie called Eyes Wide Shut. It's about like this guy. He goes to like a sex dungeon party, and it was pretty much just basically
Illuminati.
Yeah, Illuminati, and all the celebrities were a part of it. But I think he kind of covered it up because a lot of big names like what's the guy, Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of
Epstein.
like if someone like they had a list of everyone that went to his island and what he was doing over there. So it was kind of like that in a way, but like they were just doing a bunch of like sex BDSM and all that like grotesque activities, and that was, I think they wanted to shut down production over it because of how like
how much it showed, like how much it kind of exposed everything.
And Molly's Game, I'm going on like a whole rant. You know Molly's Game?
No, I don't know that either.
Okay, I won't get into that because we're on Us today.
With Eyes Wide Shut, I think they even had to like re-edit it multiple times because people were like, you can't show this because it shows too much, which I think is interesting with this film because it's not really showing anything that's like the Illuminati. That's a big
That's a risk.
expose the risk to do. This one, it's more showing like commentary on like governmental control, decision, cloning, stuff like that. A lot more abstract ideas, I feel like. A lot more ideas that you don't really see in movies as much. And a lot of visual metaphors too, because like the bunnies at the end, just showing more visual stuff.
And that's the first thing you see.
Yeah,
that's the opening shot.
You see just nothing but a bunny.
Yeah, and you're like, what does this mean? And that's, and even the mask the kid wears, visual metaphor for just who he, like his other art.
I don't know what that means.
What means?
What the kid meant. I can.
Well, I just saw it as like he always has this mask, and it's just like because his other part has masks. There's so many scenes where each counterpart
Resonate with each other.
Yeah, resonate with each other and like reflect each other.
Okay.
The way to do it. Even that opening scene where she's in the window room and she's like running, and I think there's like a jump cut where you're like, oh geez, and she just runs to the window or the mirror, and then she's backing up, and then she starts turning, but her reflection isn't turning. I was like, that is like a very visually
striking,
easy, like just so simple to do, but it's so like innovative and striking in the way he does it.
Like what we were talking about last week with what we talked about last
Evil
week?
Dead?
Evil Dead, yeah.
How can I forget,
yeah.
Cam?
About how like such a basic, simple thing they tried to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have some notes, which I rarely do anymore. I
don't say that, Cam.
I don't really have. But what were your guys? I'll just talk about some of the big things. What were your guys' thoughts? And we'll probably be jumping around. We always jump around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We on that fight scene, the last one when what's her name? Red. She and they were like underground, and she was like dodging, and so that was such like a. Well, I'll ask you guys first. I'll get my opinion.
You can go first. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Don't mind if I do. But yeah, no, I thought the fight at the end was, like I said, it was visually awesome, and I like the way, from everything we've learned up to that point about her wanting to be, man, we're gonna drop the spoiler right here.
Yeah.
So we learn at the end of the movie that the mother, I don't know her character's name,
Red,
she turns out to be the actual untethered version of herself, and they switch spots at the very beginning of the movie in that mirror room. And so she basically stole the life of the other one, and she like grew up having to learn everything. And they have that dialogue where she's like, you took everything from me. I've been thinking about you, what you took from me. And she mentions ballerina, about her being a really good ballerina, but she wasn't, because she obviously didn't have the training she did. And so throughout the fight scene, I find it so interesting that they keep cutting back and forth to like the ballerina dances and everything, and kind of how that's dictating the fight. You know what I mean? It's kind of showing like the thing going back and forth, the whatever you call it, the balance or whatever. And I thought like the underground thing was such a great location to do it. It's eerie. It's dark. It's very, in that shot where it's just her silhouette like fighting her, and it's just holding on the shot. I thought it was really decent. And there was never a point in the movie where I was like, I'm not too crazy about this shot, or I'm not too crazy about what's going on. So yeah, I loved it. What do you think, Sheldon?
It's a lot to catch on to. So when I first watched it, I didn't notice how in that car scene when Five On It was playing, and she was snapping, trying to show her son how to catch the beat when she wasn't even catching the beat. So it's just those little things you gotta catch on to. And it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you wanna show your son how to catch the beat to a song
that you don't know?
You don't even know it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And the husband's kind of just oblivious, because to be fair, it's like, how can you blame him? It's like, that's just your wife. But, I knew from the beginning, I kind of got that feeling that there was something off. There's something off.
Something off. Okay. Because even before that, you had the scene, the whole starting scene where she was with her mom and dad at the carnival. And so she's going off on her own. First off, why wasn't they paying attention?
Yeah. Yeah.
She going off on her own. Going into, what was it, the fun house? That was fun house. Then she sees her reflection that's not in sync with her.
Mm-hmm.
When first time me watching it, that should have just been like red flag right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Took off.
Should have known something. I didn't know anything really happened until she actually saw her other self at the beach house.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to catch on to.
It is.
Yeah. I love that fight scene, man. It was, because it was so simple.
It was, yeah.
And that was another thing, like, who would have thought just, you see it in, like, I think I've seen it in, was it in cartoons or whatever, or dramatic action movies where, they'll just bob and weave.
Quick cuts.
Yeah.
Everything,
like, yeah. And in this one, like you said, they have like, it keeps rolling.
Just lets them do the work and everything.
Yeah, just her swiping in the silhouette thing, and half the back half of the room is dark, and the upper half that we see at first is dark. I think that was a good connection too, because you got this dark
version of her,
the dark version of her in the darkness, and you have the lighter version. I mean,
but it's interesting because you don't like, we think that until the reveals, and then it's like everything's meshed together, so you don't know who to. Like, who to root for because you don't want to see our main character die, but you're kind of like, okay, I don't want her to die, but at the same time,
That's not the real her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and
so you feel bad for both. You have some sympathy for,
it's crazy because at the end of it, they're both kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Because they've both been under there.
They
So,
both messed up.
it's.
And yeah, not to mention that in terms of, like, because I just thought of this now,
Mhm.
it's the actors playing themselves both ways,
Mhm.
and they do a really good job. But in that fight scene, it's like the fact that they make it so realistic to where it's the same actor, but they're playing two different characters fighting each other. And all the way throughout is just, I mean, it's just a cool concept, and they do it really well. There was never a time where I was like, oh, that's a different person, like fighting him or whatever. So I was really impressed with the range, I guess, of the actors. What'd you guys think of the acting overall?
Man,
So great.
I know.
So great.
Lupita Nyong'o, she
Stole the show, I think.
yeah,
Many
she
scenes.
I don't know, just so much. What else was she in? I know she was in I haven't seen it. I think she was in 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah, she was.
Even side characters was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was, what else? Black Panther. And the kids that, I mean, it's always impressive. I'm always impressed with a good acting child. That sounds so messed up. A good acting, but like a good actor that's younger, I'll say like that. Because, you're that young. You don't know like emotion. I mean, I don't, but
When
like,
you're going against more experienced,
you got a big,
sometimes Oscar-nominated people.
yeah. And for them to hold their own, I mean, most times kids are corny. I'll be fair. I don't really like kids in the movies because the directors always give them like corny lines and
Easiest.
stuff, but like they didn't really have that. If they did, maybe once or twice, but I wasn't drowned with it. And the daughter, she really held her own against the other adults. And the son, he didn't talk. He didn't have a lot of dialogue, but
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of dialogue, but he did have a lot of like facial expressions and a lot.
yeah,
His character gave an interesting, I can't really like angle to the concept, because I know we were talking before the podcast about how the untethered side of him was trying to be more, what was the word? Cordial, I think is what you said.
Cordial.
Yeah, like nice to his half, where other one are like homicidal, where he's like just playing with him in the closet. And so it kind of gives you like this sympathy where it's like he is just a kid. Like his
doesn't know anything.
his first instinct isn't just to kill. And I think that was an interesting choice to do, because, it just makes you think like, oh man, that's kind of.
because to think that the tethered, they're down there. Well, the kid at least he's down there with other adults,
Yeah.
like other tethered adults. So it's kind of like how that kind of situation reminds me of like Michael Jackson a little bit. Didn't have much of a childhood, so when he gets around, like if he gets around another child, they're gonna have a blast. So what the tethered son did with the normal son, he was just trying to make a connection with him. He was just trying to be playful,
Yeah.
because he doesn't get that much experience doing it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, we're going to.
It's ironic you said it because she had the Michael Jackson Thriller shirt at the
Yeah.
beginning, so that was pretty interesting. Lupita Nyong'o is Mexican. She was born in Mexico,
Really?
Mexico and Kenyan.
I knew the Kenyan part. I knew she was
Yeah. I didn't.
That is interesting. But
I-
I guess
I was gonna say, just adding on to it, like, what do you guys think of that scene where the tethered part of the boy, he like walks into the fire? What do you think of that? That was that was an emotion, like that was a big scene.
yeah, that was like that kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say biblical religion kind of. It felt like because they had the hands kind of spread out, and then the music, and I don't know, and they're sacrificing themselves.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep, but like,
Oh, go for it.
yeah, I'm not very religious, but well, let me not say that. That's kind of harsh.
It's not harsh. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know specifics about it. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just felt like something that you would read in the Bible, like somebody sacrificed themselves via fire. And like I said, I don't know specifics. I don't know if it actually happened, but that just seems like something you'd read in the Bible. But
What was the Drew Britton line?
baptism
Oh, how can we forget? Baptism by fire.
by fire.
It played a part. It played a part in this one.
Yeah.
And because when I was watching the movie, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching it and I see the gasoline line and she's like, no, don't do it. And I'm like, they're already out of the car. They're gonna be fine. They'll just run away. But then you see where it's going, where he's like walking back, and it makes me think, was he told by his mother version to do that, but then he flipped the switch and was like, I'm not going to, and he just walks in the thing? Or like, what was your guys' thoughts on that overall scene?
It's now that you bring that up, it's just probably that was his own doing. Like, I don't think that he was like told to, of course he wasn't told to do that,
To kill the family, like to have the gasoline like line up to their car.
but I think that was just his own doing.
Yeah.
Still, even after, because it looked like a plan, because the mom was on the side of the cars where she took the first little boy.
Oh yeah, true.
So-
I don't know.
I think it was, in my honest opinion, I think it was kind of something that she told him to do.
Mhm.
But then like once he saw the kid, he kind of just made that decision, like, I don't really want to live like this anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. And so at that point, he just walks in the fire, even though he's already had like burns on his face
Yeah.
from because he's like addicted to fights, like a pyrotechnic, something like that. And so, what?
Pyrotechnic.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that was a really fitting way to have that side of him go out, instead of just being their throat slit or just stabbed. I thought that was a really emotional way to send off that character that we really saw very little of, but at the end you're like, oh, that was impactful.
That was because it was just a kid. I didn't even think like that. Like, he's just a boy. But
yeah. So when they go into the carnival, by that point we have been looking at the movie like it's been nighttime the rest of the movie, and I think that making that jump from nighttime to broad daylight,
mm-hmm.
and just the look of the carnival itself is just so, like, it catches your eye. It's such a great spot to do all this, especially since that's how the movie started. This is kind of how it ends. I think, what do you guys think of, I guess, just the overall look and feel of the movie, just the environment around them?
Because this was in LA, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was definitely Los Angeles for real.
Yeah. I like the. Oh, sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
I like the color palette. That's my big thing in the movie. If it looks good and colors are popping, I'm always there. So I like that. I like the carnival scene, and when she was on her way down to the tethered or the underground.
Oh yeah.
Like the elevator shot, it had like this
Yellow.
Yeah, yellowish kind of, and she's going down. It's not like one scene with it. It's just like
it changes. It was real.
colors are like my big thing, because a lot of movies nowadays are kind of just dark and there's no connection with it. There's dark and dark blue and gray.
Just because.
Yeah, like let's have some. I don't know, I like fun colors and stuff, but
Yeah.
other than that, yeah. And my favorite thing about this movie, I've known it since I first watched it. My favorite shot of all time is in this movie.
What is it?
What?
It is when she's talking, and I'll put it on the camera too. Jeez. This shot when she's sneaking up behind her.
That I watched, and that's interesting.
That was-
I think that's a what do you call it? It's when obviously it's the same actress, so it's just her in two different shots.
Yeah.
But they like mesh them together through editing, and a lot like Francis Ford Coppola, I think, did that back in the 80s. I don't know really. It's like a diopter, like a split diopter shot.
What's his name?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis
But
Ford.
yeah. While you're doing that, Sheldon, what do you think of the overall like look to the movie?
The overall look, I'll say that it was very well thought out to really change. So the scenery changed the, how can I say it, the feeling of what was going on.
Yeah.
So, like, even when the other family, like, it was their
friends.
their friend's family, even in their household, while it was nighttime, they had a whole different type of house.
Yeah.
And so they had that kind of house, and so it brought like a more like
Yeah.
look to it, other than versus their beach house where it was more dark.
Yeah.
It wasn't as
cozy.
like it wasn't, the lighting wasn't there, so you was more on edge.
That
Which when you got to them, you kind of like, that's where it was more of some comedic change. It was more of a comedic change.
That's a pivotal scene, I think, in the movie, because that's when we learn that there's like multiple, like,
More.
everyone. It's
More.
not just this family. Because when I first like thought of the movie and I was seeing all the advertising, I'm like, oh, it's just the family. Like that's it, and we'll figure out why it's just the family. But then at that point, you're like, oh crap, it's everyone. Where they killed the twins
And like, what a killing, man.
for sure. Yeah,
Man, when she just comes up and the camera, I like sometimes because it's kind of overdone. If I show you right here, Sheldon, and I switch over to Drew,
whip pans and
yeah,
everything.
you whip it to Drew, and you go back to Sheldon, someone's right behind them, and then I like those type of shots. And it's shown in this one, and then Drew's like, "Oh my gosh!" and he just stabs you right in the side of the head. That sounds kind of gross. That sounds gory, but I don't know. Shots like that are just so cool because if it's done properly, like, you can do that in a scary movie all the time, but in this one, it made sense because there's a storyline behind it.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said earlier, Sheldon, about just the comedic timing of everything taking place, like the music where it plays the NWA song, when it's like this most like dramatic moment, all of a sudden it like softens it a little bit, but it does it just right because in the end, like, you don't really care about this character. You kind of just you don't want to see her die, but it's like if she dies, I'm really not going to care.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jordan Peele, I think, knows that, so it's like, I could throw this your way. You know what I mean? Like, it helps you in the scene kind of be like, huh, I got some enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
It was funny. And, even the shot, like you said, all the cinematography and visuals in there. I think my favorite shot of the whole thing and my favorite, like, cut of the whole movie would be when the kid walks in. Like, out of nowhere, they're just having a conversation. The kid comes in and goes, there's a family in our driveway.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, there is no family in our driveway. Hard cuts, family in the driveway. And he goes, oh, yeah. There is a family in our driveway.
And then that's when he was like, he went out there with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And then what did she do?
Like,
she snapped her fingers and then
And they just go,
oh my.
Dude,
that's creepy.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's a creepy, especially since they're backlit and they're silhouettes. And he's over there going like, I think I told you to get off my yard. And
the police, and it was a quick scene. Like, his voice got deep. Like, it's like, I told you, the police are coming. And like,
and then they start coming out. He's like, what you doing? And he starts just backing into the house. He's like, did you call the police? After he told her not to call the police.
they're 14 minutes away.
He's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. It's a fun time. It's a fun, entertaining movie while also, just being thought provoking.
I think one of my favorite moments was when this had to deal with the daughter and then her clone or her tethered version. When she was running away, and she is like, when you running and like, you have a nightmare and you trying to run but you're not going nowhere. Y'all ever experienced that?
Yeah.
What is it called?
No.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Where you can't move or anything, but you think you are when you're not really. So in this scene, she was running away from the beach house, trying to run away from her tether.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference with the tether, when she was running after her normal self, she was a true track star.
Yeah, she was moving.
Just a true track star, and that scene to me was just so funny.
Yeah, and that poor guy that like was like, "Hey, get away from my car."
Yeah.
Car.
And oh man, then when they pull it back, when the girl's running, and you can see in the background, and he just stabs him.
Yeah, and that leads me to actually asking a question. So, I'm not very knowledgeable about the movie. I know you are pretty knowledgeable about the movie. Can you explain to me kind of, and if I missed it in the movie, why now? Like, how did they get out? Like, how did all these tethered, like, get out of their little, like, wherever they were underground? Do you know?
I actually don't.
Yeah, like,
It's that I never thought about that.
yeah, it's like, okay, this is happening, but, like, why is this happening now? And it's like, how did they all get out? Because
I
No,
think
cause I don't know cause that's a vacation place. They was on vacation.
yeah,
So that beach house was or that was like a tradition and carnival and all that stuff. That was like a tradition when she was little. That's what she did with her parents.
Yeah.
Had that beach house. That's why they were staying where they were staying in. So my guess is that since they had went back, maybe it had been a while since they had been there. That's when
why they knew
that's
to go back
why the tether, or not actually a tether, but the actual human was like, okay, we're coming.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense now. Now that I thought about it now. So the version of her that got switched in the beginning, she basically let everyone out, basically. Yep. Okay, that explains.
Because she had been down there for so long.
Yeah, and she wasn't like by a lot because she was so young, but she still like had that elementary.
She had knowledge. She had a little bit of knowledge of how the world operated, like the real world. But then she was down underground for so long, she was able to really figure out how to operate everything down there. That's why she was more like the leader.
She's the leader. And something I just thought about too is that just like hints at what's going on here is that even when they lose the kid on the, and I think, okay, here's my thing, because she's always constantly scared, like on the beach when Jason gets lost and she's like freaking out. And I think it's just because she's scared that her version came back, or like that, they're coming back to get him, you know what I mean? And even when they find her and she's like hugging him, he's like, ow, like you're hurting me. And it's because she can't like control her own, because she's just so much more like primal.
Yeah.
Like just naturally.
Because she knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah, she knows like the truth and everything. And so I just think, I just remember that. There's so many things I'm remembering now with the ending in mind.
I looked up how they were freed. I don't remember this part in the movie, but it says that Red, or the mom, said that they were created by the government in a failed experiment to control the public. I don't remember that part in the movie.
It's probably what the bunnies are there for.
Yeah.
I
think that's what it leads to. I don't think it full out tells you. So I think like what you read might have been like an interpretation of what they're like leading on. But I feel like that's the only way to explain it, because especially with like the red jumpsuits, it's like this seems very concentrated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like, and I
controlled thing.
I wonder how they got the jumpsuits, because I remember
some jumpsuit company made a lot of money.
The people from Money Heist.
Oh yeah, I was
But I know they were talking about that she had to be really perfect in particular when they were gonna start going. Also, I also looked up how they got out. No answer. But
sweet.
Yeah, it was from Elite Daily. So
that's
reliable
incredible.
source.
That's incredible.
Yeah. What was I saying?
I honestly, you were.
How they got?
Yeah, how they got
about
out.
you.
The jumpsuits.
They didn't know how they got out.
Yeah.
You were talking about. Yeah,
and the jump. I know they said they had to be very particular about how they were going to go about getting out, and I kind of just wondered where they got the clothes from, because none of them came up. So where'd they get the clothes to switch into? And they were all wearing regular clothes at the beginning. So and this isn't like a flaw thing, because I know it's easy to be like, oh, this isn't like, it doesn't explain anything. There's an error in it. But it's kind of more like a curious thing, because movies like this, if I don't get it, I'm not just gonna like bash it because I don't understand it. I'll like try and watch movies about it, or watch shows or YouTube videos about it to try and understand it, because obviously it's complex. But for like dumb movies where they're trying to be too confusing, that's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think the visually striking, like that red gives it such a, like it catches your eye, especially when it's broad daylight and they're all holding hands, like on the road, and then you'll see them like out in the water holding hands and everything, which makes me almost wonder like what, because at the end we see them like in a huge line going all the way around LA, and it makes me wonder, are they just like circling LA? Like what's
that was a real thing.
That's the Hands Across America. So if you remember in the beginning, on the TV, there was that campaign, Hands Across America. It was a campaign from like 1986, maybe. And so that's why, they were actually like that. Now I was able to pick that up.
Yeah.
While the tether were all like holding hands together.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was from that campaign. So yeah, that's why.
Cool. I didn't know. I knew that was a real thing, but in Hands Across America, I don't know why. Like it was. I tried to find out why they did it in this one. It said it was attempt to form a continuous human chain across a contiguous United States, but I don't know what a public fundraising event.
Because my thing is that we get to see. So is it every like clone in LA, or is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
But Hands Across America was across. Oh, it was only across the U.S.
Because that the like living quarters or wherever she was at.
Mm-hmm.
If that's like everyone in LA, that's got to be a big. And we see that it's a very
across the valley.
Yeah, very very big. But like still like it's like double the population all like going on, at least in the United States. I think the film kind of hints that it's like United States strictly, you know what I mean? It's not like the whole world, there's clones everywhere. But yeah, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And I actually was going to ask you guys, do you think that the film sees the events primarily through the family's eyes in an event that's very catastrophic and very like countrywide problem? Do you think that if we had cut away from the family and saw more of a global coverage of it, because we see the news thing that shows them holding hands and we see the news feed of the guy killing him. What I mean is, like, do you think we should have cut to them like attacking people within the city in an actual scene? Or do you think seeing it through the family's eyes strictly gives you more of that kind of more intimate look into the situation?
I think what they did by letting us see it through the eyes of the family was the best way to go, because it just would have been like world of destruction if we looked at all these different tethered people taking out their counterpart and then replacing their lives.
Yeah.
So like we noticed a couple times, I spoke on him earlier, but the homeless man
Yeah.
with the Bible verse or the Bible scripture, Jeremiah 11:11. And then so he was standing there at the carnival and he had the sign. But years later, he was killed and like just slaughtered, getting put on an ambulance and everything. And so then we noticed how when the family was on the beach, was it the son who saw him?
Yeah.
Was it the daughter?
It was
the mother. The son saw him?
Yes.
So yes, the son saw the tethered version of that homeless man. He saw the blood dripping from his hands and he's just standing there like this. So it's just I think we actually got a lot out of just seeing it from them. But I think that it just would have been maybe it could have been too much if we just seen
not as focused.
Every single one of those tethered people just taking out their counterpart.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that since we see it through this family, we learn things as they do. And so it's easier for us to kind of watch it because they're like, oh, there's somebody driving. We're thinking with them, why are they here? What's going on and everything? If we saw like a whole, police are getting barricades and everything, it's like, oh, we're kind of just like thrown into this thing. And it feels like we need to play catch up now.
That's a good point. I like how you said we learn as they do. But I like the little glimpse they had on the news.
That was like a refreshing kind of like information, like, oh, it's going on everywhere. Yeah, not just this isolated little vacation spot. What do you think? What do you think about that and how the story was presented, Cam?
I think it was done well because it allowed you to stick with the original cast. I like how how they had the other family. Not too much with them, with the
side characters.
Yeah, so you get them, and it's not you don't only get them when something's bad happening. You get them at the beach prior. So that was a good touch. But I do like how you get the little glimpse on the news and the lady kind of showing her phone on the side of the car and seeing all the all the destruction of the cars and everyone in their red suits joining up and linking up. So it was a good choice to not have it show everyone. Because then that would have got confusing and there's no like real story with that.
Yeah. I also was thinking to myself so is the clone version of the mother Red, is she the only one that's actively pursuing her own other half? Or in everybody else is kind of like fugue state, just kind of...
Well, she's the leader.
Yeah, she's the leader.
She's trying to get all of them to take over the human beings, the world.
Yeah.
She's leading all of them.
Yeah,
they're pretty much controlled by her.
Yeah, because they're all kind of like just animalistic. Yeah. It's kind of, it's not zombies because they're very capable, but they kind of are in this mental sense, kind of that way. God, this movie's good.
Yeah, there's
so much to it.
God,
yeah, I know we're missing some stuff too.
How can we not?
Like going in depth on the rabbit and what 1111 means and all that good stuff. But
yeah, I think the rabbit, like the final shot we see of the, I keep saying the bad version, but just like, and I keep saying untethered, even though it's just
The original.
Last night I did look up what the scripture meant.
oh, okay.
Actually,
But yeah, the last shot where she like stabs her at the very end in like kind of that bunk room where all the beds and everything, and then the last shot we see of her is laying there dead while a little bunny just walks by her.
Yeah.
I think that was just a really good last shot seeing her, because it's like they're really one and the same. But really not when you think about it, because she's the
Original.
yeah. So it's the one who dies at the end is the original, and then the one that lives is the tethered one that switched.
Yeah.
And so when that bunny comes through, you're like, oh, that's a very
Yeah.
it makes sense why that's going on.
But yeah, you go.
okay. So
Sorry, I didn't mean to tell you.
Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 11 says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them."
Some deep stuff.
Did Jordan Peele write this? He had to have, right? I was about to say, I didn't know if he just directed it, but like if you,
I'm pretty sure he wrote it too.
God, he's a genius.
And
He needs to come out with a new movie now.
yeah, Nope didn't do it for me, but I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, I guess I'll ask you, since we talked about Nope, and I don't even remember what we like most of the stuff we talked about, and you said you really liked Nope. Did you just, was it the story that kind of didn't get you on that as opposed to this?
I think so, because it wasn't such a direct underlying meaning. So I think I went into it thinking, oh man, I'm about to get. I like Jordan Peele because he gives me something to think about, but it's not too complex. Have you seen? That's all I do all the time. I always refer to a different movie. Let me stop that. But
No, it makes sense. Like, go ahead. What-
have you seen?
Yeah, what movie you talking about?
I'm thinking of ending things.
Oh yeah.
You've seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay, that's like some confusing movie. And the house that Jack built, the ending though.
Oh my God.
The ending. Have you seen that? Okay, yeah.
That
So
movie.
I like that movie. I watched it during COVID, but they all at the ending of that and throughout the whole movie of I'm thinking of ending things. Those are such confusing things that aren't easy to get first time. So with Jordan Peele, you get something that's like not too hard to understand, but you're missing something to piece all this together. Like you get the double entendre thing, and like I was gonna put up like a Drake bar or something, but you get the I'll say it. He said it was always you and I without the TY.
There you go.
So with that, you're thinking about it, you're like that's something's there, but it was always you and I without the TY.
Yeah, look into it. You got to think about it for a little bit
that
to kind
means-
of fully understand it.
Yeah, and like unity, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
You and I too. I think you understood that.
Lost. I know the song.
Didn't understand when you first said it.
Yeah, that took me a while to get, but yeah, stuff like that. It's something there, but it's not. You're not too far away from it. That's what I'm trying
and
to
you
say.
and you can take everything so much different. Like you can watch it and think, oh, this, and I can be like, oh, actually, I think it means this.
Yeah,
And I think that he does such a great job of Get Out is kind of not the exception, but I think that one was a lot more straightforward in its thing, but it also just kind of dealt with obviously racism and some like obviously throughout with the family and everything. But with Us and Nope, he just lays out so many subjects and they're all different from each other, but he expresses them in very artistic ways. And so you can watch and be like, oh, I took this away from it, I took this away from it, I took this away from it. And then you'll come in and you'll say, well, I actually took this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And you guys can, well, like we're doing now, talk about it and just have,
our open. dialogue.
and he could have very easily, a lesser director would have just been like, no, this is flat out what we're doing. This is what it means. This is what it means. But I think Jordan Peele is very much like, you watch it, interpret it how you want. That's,
Free game.
yeah. Because they're, like, this one has themes, obviously, of government, and then Nope has more themes of, like, I think,
Environmental thing.
yeah, and very like animal cruelty, animal stuff like that, and just kind of like hunting animals, stuff like that. So yeah, we are praising him. Jordan Peele's watching this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. So Get Out more like controlling, Us controlling, and then Nope was like environmental thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious to see where he's gonna go from here with.
when you watch Get Out, you see how if you get caught by that family, by that family, you will be controlled. Like they will put you down in their basement, replace your. Wait, did they replace the brain or they just take your brain out?
They replaced your brain with the white person's brain,
Yeah.
so the white person could like
live out
through
through
your
the
body,
black
yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
and
that-
then
yeah.
remember, all it took was Flash to bring him back to reality.
Mhm.
So that's that control thing that he set out and Get Out. And so then when I think about it, for us, when the kid went walking back into the fire, is there had to have been something there that we just couldn't
subliminal
see,
thing, yeah.
that just made him snap back into like reality, even though he not a human being. Well, he's human,
Yeah.
but he's not a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just had to have been something that just snapped him into.
Yeah, that's interesting. It might have been the kid because you looked at the kid. Yeah, I gotta rewatch that scene. I gotta rewatch that scene and see. And if there was like a subtle little thing that happened that like that's what he decided on. And oh yeah, so what I was gonna say is that with those subjects, they're very relevant to topics today. Very political, very important, very controversial opinions. And you know, I think that through film and like you said earlier, Cam, what's it you? Yeah, you said like films they show what's going on through like the truth through like the medium of a story with those subliminal messages, while newspapers, I didn't say it, but you know,
I didn't say it either.
Yeah.
I just said
sometimes
that's
fake
what I
news
said.
can happen and give you a fake.
Well, I
idea
wasn't
what's
saying
going on.
what I had seen was saying that the news was fake. No, it was saying that they don't put out the real, like
The real
real like,
What's going on in the world?
Yeah. They don't cover what's
'cause
really going on.
they'll
yeah.
get in trouble if they do that.
Yeah. So, I guess overall, what would you give this movie out of 5 stars?
I'd give it a 5. But yeah,
It's a good one, man.
I'd give it a 5.
Spam all of the.
Man, I love this keyboard. Like, I don't use it a lot because I feel like it annoys you, but I love this freaking
You see me just.
like, nah, but
I'll
I forget we have it.
I'll explain why I give it a 5.
what's up?
One reason being, I'm not hard to please. Like, if I can actually get through a movie without falling asleep to it, then
Miracle.
yeah, because it's so hard for me to watch a movie.
I get it.
But I can definitely sit through that movie time and time again and just like, oh. And then I
Appreciate it.
always come out with something new.
Yeah.
So it's just a learning thing for me. I can always learn something new from it. That's why I give it a 5 stars.
That's
but
good.
yeah,
Feel it. I'll give it a 4.5.
4.5.
I don't really give movies 5 like that. It has like I give like 10.
Change your world. yeah.
Exactly. It make me change the way I think, change the trajectory of my life. If
You give Oppenheimer a 5?
I did give it a 5
I was about to say.
because that made me want to learn. I always have a reason for a 5. That made me want to learn about history.
Okay.
But I gave this one a 4.5. Great movie, but it didn't like make me want to start. It didn't change the way I think. But the one thing I didn't talk about, score. The score was great. Such a great like sound,
Enhances the scene.
yeah, and the children the children singing kind of thing that just really felt
Musically pushed the movie in all the right ways, and it just enhanced every scene it was in. So yeah. I'd probably give it after talking about this movie, I might give it a 4.5 too.
Man.
Because all the stuff we've been saying, everything that is added to this movie just works in every way. I can't think of a bad thing about this movie.
Mhm.
There's no, just all across the board. And I think, the concept, the visuals, the story, the music, the characters, acting, just the overall scope of everything is just it's so big and it's so monumental, but at the same time, it's so isolated to this family story
Mhm.
and done in such a focused way. I think
it wasn't so long either.
yeah, it was
barely 2 hours.
Straight to the point.
very, very consumable, if that makes sense to the average viewer. But yeah,
You ain't have to do it in 3 hours.
exactly. Could you imagine?
It took him an hour and like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
You didn't give a number.
I said 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5.
That's
But yeah.
great, man.
But yeah, but
Thank you.
thank you so much for being on the podcast. We had a great time talking to you, and yeah, it's been an absolute blast. Hey. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what we were waiting for. But yeah,
Your birthday.
My birthday is tomorrow.
Your birthday's
happy-
tomorrow. Dude.
happy early birthday.
Thank
Do we have
you,
a birthday one?
We don't have a birthday one. We might put the birthday song here.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheldon, for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all for real.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for watching this episode. That has been Us by Jordan Peele. We'll be back next week to talk about the last horror movie of the month. I think we're planning on Halloween, the 1978 classic, and we will see you then. Have a great day.
Peace.